What is up, everybody? Renfail here. Hopefully, you are having a great day. It is time for my ultimate beginner's guide to the Outer Worlds 2. If you're not familiar with how these work, it's a big old guide for new players. Down below, you're going to find a bunch of chapters where you can skip to the places where you might not have the information you're looking for, or if you just need a moment to watch a section, go into the game, test that thing out, and then come back and check the next section out. Use the chapters below to conveniently work your way through the video at your own pace. And when you get to the end, hopefully you've gleaned enough knowledge to go forth and have your own adventure at a much more smooth pace than I did, having to figure all this stuff out for the first time. So without further ado, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. I play a lot of games. I make guides for all of them. This is the day job. I'm here every single day, and we live stream every morning on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick at 4:30 a.m. Central, and again in the afternoons as well. So hopefully we'll see you in the next one. But for now, let's dive into our beginner's guide to Outer Worlds 2. First up are skills and traits in the Outer Worlds 2. You'll notice over on the left-hand side, there's a whole slew of skills that you can choose from. You get 2 skill points every level that you can spend as you see fit. Over here are the perks. You get a perk point every 2 levels that you can spend, going up to a maximum of level 30. When you are picking skills and perks, they will complement each other. Lots of the perks have skill requirements, but they also have additional perk requirements. So you really want to take your time and go through this list and figure out what you want to do. It is a big list. There are lots of things to choose from. They are broken down into categories. I have a complete beginner's guide to the skills and perk system in the game over on YouTube if you want to check that out at your leisure. But in short, you're going to be spending a lot of time in this menu figuring out your builds and picking abilities and perks that are going to be complementing your gameplay as you go through and complementing what your companions can do. Probably one of the most important things to understand as part of the skills and traits system, skills and perks system, I should say, in this game is that there is a sort of specialist concept here where you are expected to be really good at a couple of different things, but not be a jack of all trades. In fact, there's actually a negative flaw that can come up in gameplay if you start spending your points in too many skills because the game is like recognizing that, hey, you're maybe going a little bit off the beaten path. That's great, but here's why you might not want to do that. And it'll give you an appropriate perk, a negative perk for that. So, or a flaw. The way you really should think about this is that every situation in the game, whether it's a combat situation, a door in front of you that you need to get around, a boss encounter, a leader encounter, all of those have multiple scenarios, but they also have difficulty checks in place. Locked doors might have a hacking and engineering or a lockpick check. NPCs might have a speech check. And the most complicated encounters in the game are all going to have very high difficulty checks involved. And the best loot is going to be locked behind doors that have very high engineering, lockpicking, or hacking checks. So you're going to want to have skills that are appropriately high. The max on skills at the moment is level 20. And if you don't have skills ranked up to around level 20, you won't be able to make those difficulty checks when you come across them. So while it might seem like you want to create a jack of all trades build, the reality is it's far better to specialize in a couple of areas and do your playthrough as a roleplay character. This character, as an example, is my space cowboy, my space ranger. He focuses on primarily speech, a little bit of lock picking, and lots of guns, ranged combat. You cannot respec in this game outside of the one time you're given an option to respec after the tutorial mission. So you're stuck with your decisions. So it's pretty much a good idea, in my opinion, to focus on specializing as opposed to being a jack of all trades. And then just do a second playthrough and try something different because there are a lot of conversation options and things that can change based on your decisions in the game and the way you play. So this is a game meant to be replayed many, many times with many different types of builds. So don't be afraid to do exactly that and have fun through multiple characters to see all there is to see in the Outer Worlds 2. When it comes to the dialogue in the Outer Worlds 2, one of the funniest things to me is the fact that if you are someone who tries to skip dialogue, or if you're someone who doesn't like to listen to characters talk and you're not going to be paying attention to what characters are telling you, you are going to miss out on probably 50% of the game content because many of the directions to locations are only provided in a conversation with an NPC. You will be given breadcrumb quests that tell you to go talk to a certain NPC or to go to a certain location to look for a clue. And if you don't pay attention to what the NPCs are telling you in the dialogue, you won't be able to find that because it will not go into your quest journal as an actual trackable objective. It is vitally important in this game that you pay attention to what the NPCs are telling you. Not only are these amazingly written dialogue sequences, but they are also amazingly voice acted by some really talented voice actors. So it's worth your time really immersing yourself in this game and sinking your teeth in. But yeah, don't skip, because if you skip on the dialogue, you literally will miss out on about half of the game because there's going to be all sorts of stuff that you won't know how to get to. You won't even know that they referenced it because you weren't paying attention and you were space barring and escaping your way. Through the or mashing the B button on the controller just to get to the end of the dialogue. That is the worst way to play this game, and you will be penalized for doing so by just missing out on a whole bunch of the game. If you go over here on the right hand side, you'll see some additional perks listed there at the bottom right. Convictions, Skeptic, Art Enthusiast, and Serial Dabbler. Those are 3 perks that I picked up through gameplay. But there are not only positive perks. I am playing on my first playthrough. I'm not accepting any negative perks. But there have probably been 30 or 40 negative perks that have cropped up along the way where the Earth Directorate has seen a flaw in me. And for example, I showed this off in a TikTok, Instagram short, YouTube short, where I got the kleptomaniac flaw because I'm constantly stealing things that aren't nailed down. And there are always pros and cons to those flaws. But those are things that will come about through your gameplay. There's also like the knee one where if you're crouching all the time, you'll be able to move more quickly while crouched down. But if you stand up, your knees make audible noise and they crack, and it brings NPCs running to you because they hear that distraction and they're like, "What's going on over here?" There are lots and lots and lots of additional perks and flaws that your character will pick up based upon your gameplay. The perks and flaws can be a lot of fun. The perks are always going to be positive. The flaws are things that can really just give your game a lot of quirkiness. I think it's great for second and third playthroughs. I'm not really someone who likes to take flaws on my first playthrough, but you are going to be coming across a ton of the flaws and perks through just natural gameplay. Don't be afraid to play around with those if you're someone who wants to have a little bit of extra flavor in your game. Crafting is a pretty big deal in this game. We've already talked about this in other places, but essentially you'll find workshops all around the game world as well as on your ship. And if you have Niles in your party, you'll be able to go into his field tinkering
Sure.
dialogue
Always happy
here,
to tool around
which
for a
opens
bit.
up a
What did you
crafting
have in mind?
uh, it opens up the workbench here. Now, when you're in here, specifically, you are going to be looking at crafting lots of different things. Most important, not only are you going to be attaching mods to your weapons and armor, but also is going to be crafting different consumables like ammo. And this is where we've had some folks ask questions about, well, where do I find all the recipes? And that is a fun one because essentially, if we go in here and look at our inventory and scroll over to the recipe tab, this is what you're looking for. These cartridges, which have a green background, are found at merchants and NPCs throughout the game. You'll occasionally find them in boxes as well as you're going throughout the game, but the vast majority of these you're going to find at the vendors and NPCs of the game. Vendors can be boxes, NPCs will be other player character or other non-player characters, the merchants of the game. Um, you have to have a recipe on you in order to craft an item, whether it be a grenade, a bypass shunt, a mine, ammo, inhaler charges, um, mods like the light pistol silencer, shotgun shells, biomass canisters, shot grenades, all of these things, short rounds, there we go. All of these different things require recipes. And so, in order to have the recipes, you'll need to actually purchase them or find them. I would say probably 95% of the recipes I have, I just purchased off of NPCs as opposed to trying to find them. And as a result, I have a pretty good selection so that when I go talk to
Futures
Niles,
filled me with dread
I
for
don't have
so
the big thing
long.
for me
Sure.
is ammo. So being able to come over here and be able to make all of these consumables, specifically because I use my shotgun a lot and I use my I have an electric uh, machine gun which uses shock rods. Those are hugely helpful. I also have a plasma pistol that I keep as a backup because those I'm always coming across plasma charges, so I have plenty of those. And then long rounds, I'm actually starting to run out of black powder, which is another thing we'll talk about in a little bit. But being able to craft ammo for yourself on the fly is a big deal, and the recipes are something that a lot of people have been confused about. So don't forget to check the vendors and the NPCs and the loot stations for the recipes to purchase so that you can craft them. This brings me to the next section, which is the fact that everything in the game can be broken down into components, and you're going to be using components for all sorts of different things. Specifically, you're going to be using it for your crafting. You're going to be using all sorts of different things like crude biomass, scrap metal, lubricant, black powder, energy canisters, foils, screws, cloth, magnets, all this stuff is used to make ammo, but it's also used to make things like grenades. It's also used to make things like your healing charges. So, also, your mods all require different components to make. Where do you get those components? You get those components by breaking down other items. So, everything in the game when you get to a workbench or if you have Niles in your party, you're going to go over here to the breakdown section. And then at the bottom, you're going to see like a breakdown of an item. You can go through here and go through all these things, go to junk. I don't currently have any junk on me at the moment, but you're going to go through here and anything that you're not going to be using, you're going to want to break down. I tend to just loot everything because I'm a loot goblin. So like these heavy machine guns, I'm never going to use that thing. I'm going to break it down and get these materials back as a result. Anything that's not a rare item, I'm just going to break down for materials. And I'm going to go through here periodically and do this. I don't break down green or yellow items if I can avoid it because those tend to have some cool stats and I might want to mod those for various loadouts. But everything else in the game can be broken down, including all the junk. So loot everything. Do not ignore loot. Don't sleep on loot because otherwise you'll find yourself running out of ammo. You'll find yourself running out of healing charges. Loot and break down everything. So I've got an Ultimate Beginner's Guide to the companion system up on YouTube for those of you who want to do a deep dive. But the quick version is that every 5 levels you can pick a perk for your companion, going from level 5 all the way up to level 30. And these are things that basically allow you to customize how your companions work. You can only ever have 2 companions with you at any given time. So I've gone straight down the left with Niles because I like him to be a tank, but with Inez, I've balanced her off, taking a couple on the left, one on the right. You can go down through here at your leisure as you're leveling up and pick the ones that best suit the playstyle that you're currently working on, depending on whether you're a tank or you're a scout or however you're playing the game. The perks, again, can only be set at levels 5 to 15. They cannot be respec'd, so once you have made a selection here, you are locked in. However, you can further adjust the
Whatever you need, Commander.
companions
Just name it.
slightly by going to a workbench, or if you have Niles in the party, go to his field
Sure.
tinkering and go over here to the party upgrades section where you can then tweak a little bit based on what you have access to, you can change these around, which change how their weapons work, and it slightly modifies how they play. It's just going to depend on whether you have both tiers unlocked or if you only have one tier. I only have the first tier unlocked with these two, whereas with Marisol, I have both of her tiers, and Valerie as well, I have both of their tiers unlocked. But this just allows you to further customize the character. These ones can be changed at whim, the perks cannot. Occasionally through gameplay, you're going to come across these lock boxes, which you can then take back to your ship and unlock. But you're going to need these special things called decryption keys to unlock them. So right in this case, I only have 3 decryption keys on me. I need 3 more to be able to unlock this box and get access to Scrutinizer's eyepiece. The very first one they have you unlock is the upgrade for Valerie, just to teach you how the system works. But from there, all of these high security lockboxes have items within them, which are really nice yellow pieces of gear that do some sort of really unique item. It's completely random based on the boxes that you find, but you will need a variety of keys to unlock them. Some of them might only take 3 keys, some of them might have 4 keys. This one takes 6 keys. The keys can be found through exploration of the game, but you can also purchase them from a variety of vendors. So it's always a good idea to just, when you're in a town or a new location, always check the vendors, because if they have any of the advanced keys for sale, they're generally relatively inexpensive, and they're totally worth picking up because the gear that they offer through these chests is quite lucrative, and can give you some really unique bonuses for your character. Like this one right here, having critical exploit, that's a really good mod, and then it has a utility mod open as well, plus a 40% recharge rate. That's a pretty nice item, especially if you can add another mod on there that suits your play style. So definitely worth getting as many advanced decryption keys as you can to unlock these high security lockboxes as you come across them in the game. The default gameplay style allows you to have 2 weapons equipped at any point in time, but you'll notice there is an maximum of 4 slots. I have 3 slots, and that's because I have the extra holster slot modded on to my hat. So that's actually one of the mods that you really want to keep an eye out for, is the extra holster mod, because that gains you an additional weapon slot. There's also a perk, I believe it's called Commando. Let's double check here really quick. We'll go over to the perks list system. Go down here. It's going to be a pistol commando. You unlock an additional weapon equipment slot. So if you want to have the maximum amount of equipment slots in the game, you'll want to take the commando perk as well as the extra holster slot in order to unlock 4 weapons for your character. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with the 2 weapons at any given time, which is not necessarily a big deal if you're wanting to specialize. But I have found through my gameplay, at least on normal difficulty, I really do like having a variety of weapons at my disposal. So I have the sniper rifle for long distance. I have the compact assault rifle for sort of mid-range encounters. And if something does happen to get up close, I have an incendiary triple shotgun to just blast things in the face and set them on fire when they get too close. So it's nice having that range. If I had a 4th, I would probably put a melee in there to do some sneak attacks, or maybe, I don't know, a missile launcher or something. But yeah, and if you want all the weapon slots of the game, you'll need to use the extra holster mod on your items, and also take that Vanguard or that Commando ability in the perk line. This brings me to mods in general. So the number one easiest way to change how your character plays, or to enhance your character, is going to be through the use of mods. Every single piece of armor and weapon you come across in the game is going to have mod slots represented by those. Well, on the right hand side, you'll see if it's open or not. Like that one comes with energy woven materials already attached, but it has an armoring mod slot open. This one has from nowhere and cauterized materials attached, but it has armoring available, and it has some additional stuff already on it, like evasion chance and combat sprint chance. I'm using Acquiescence, which has crisis defenses, which I added to it. It had adaptive engineering on it, as well as the energy woven materials, and then I added crisis defenses to it with that extra mod slot. So you're going to find mods throughout the game. You're going to find those in chests. You're also going to find them on vendors. If you find mods that you think you might want to use, it's definitely worth picking up. There's mods for weapons, there's mods for headpieces, and there's mods for armor, and they do lots of different things. Speech attack debuffs last 100% longer as an example, 20% damage resistance for 30 seconds after resurrecting a companion. There's lots of different mods. The weapon mods, I don't have a lot on me right now because I've used the ones I have, but every type of weapon has a series of mods for it, and there are lots of different types of weapons in the game. So as an example, these are like all these different weapon types. That's a machine gun, that's a staff, that's an SMG, that's a plasma pistol, that counts as a, what are those called? Well, there's the trench shotgun. Where did it go? That's the assault rifle, critter catcher. I think those are like marksman rifles. I can't remember what those are called. Then there's machine pistols, biomass pistols. There's lots of different types of weapons. Each weapon type comes with its own series of mods. So when you open up the workbench, which is over here,
I've been thinking. Can I bend your ear a moment?
you can in a bit. When you go over here to the mods on the workbench, you'll notice if it has an available mod, it'll show up here like that plasma pistol has an available mod. If it doesn't have an available mod, you won't see it. And that one does, but I don't have any of them at the moment. I've come across them before, but I have 0 in my inventory. So there are lots of mods in the game. You'll need the mods to modify your armor and weapons, so keep an eye out for them as you are exploring. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. I like to play first person. Other players like to play third person. You can change your POV in the gameplay settings. You can also do it through the controller. I'm going to show you both the ways that you can do that really quick here. If you go over into the, yeah, I believe it's gameplay, isn't it? Show player helmet. I know it's in here somewhere. Here it is, first person. And then there is third person near, third person far. And you can change it through the gameplay dialog here. You can also, if you're on the controller, just hold the left menu button down once. It'll go into the mid-range POV. And if you hold it down again, it will go into the far POV. So you can change that around as you see fit. When you have your weapon holstered, you can pan the camera around your character like this, but if you have a weapon drawn, it will turn your character with the turning, so you'll always be facing the back of your character with the weapon pointing in front of the character in the direction that you are looking. So bear that in mind. But again, you can do it through the gameplay settings, or you can just hit that menu button and switch on the fly. I don't mind doing this from time to time because it's a really cool way to get a screenshot. Because then you could just go over here and be like, yeah, silhouette, boom, yeah, that looks good. But otherwise, I do prefer to play in first person in any game. If you give me the option between third person and first person, I'm always going to choose first. I only play third person in games where it's a third person over the shoulder game. Otherwise, I will always be in first person because that's the way I roll. So if you remember what I talked about in the section on skipping dialogue and missing out on quests, the same thing can be said for if you don't explore every nook and cranny in the game, you are going to miss out on quests, you're going to miss out on gadgets, you're going to miss out on potentially finding pets and weapons and gear. Exploring every nook and cranny is vitally important to be able to get the most out of this game. Now, I'm actually going to show you a mistake that I made because I did not explore this section over here, the Human Repair Center. I did not explore that section when I was initially on this map. And I can say that and spoil it slightly by saying there is a gadget over there that I did not know about, and I got 20 hours into my gameplay. Maybe not quite 20 hours. I was around the 20-hour mark, and Transcend in our chat was like, "Hey, do you have the gadget for this thing? And I was like, I didn't know there was a gadget for that thing. And they were like, did you go over here? And I was like, I did not go over there. And I came back to this planet and realized that I had somehow missed this tiny little corner down here. And as a result, had missed a gadget. So don't miss that corner. There's a gadget there. But also, every little nook and cranny on all of the maps is filled with information, quests, and companions that you might not come across if you don't go there. There are also quests where if you don't do something within a certain um, window of opportunity, you may not be able to complete the quests there anymore because you make a decision somewhere else that will impact that region. So it's very, very important that if you are shooting for a completionist version of the game and you want all of the items, you want all the loot, you want all the quests, you want the achievements, you want all the gadgets and everything else, you really need to explore every nook and cranny of every single map you come across. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on all sorts of stuff like the janitor in the bathroom that we talked about the other day in that short video on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So make sure to explore all the nooks and crannies to get everything in the game. Companions can and will leave your party. Let me re-emphasize that. Companions can and will leave your party if you do things that are directly against what those characters believe in. It's pretty rare for an RPG to do that in 2025, but Obsidian doesn't shy away from it. So every character you come across in the game has their own unique needs and wants, and their own mission that they're on, their own backstory. Those are complicated things, and if you do things that are directly against what that character wants, they will 100% leave your party. I actually did that by accident during the initial planet with Inez, and we captured that on a live stream because there was a moment where she asks you not to do something, and I didn't find the option to avoid doing that and did it, and we got past the moment, and she said, I told you not to do that. Screw you. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm out. And she left the party forever to be gone. And we were early in the gameplay. So I would have been without Inez for the entire rest of the game. 40 hours of gameplay or whatever without her in the party. Now, thankfully, I was able to reload and find the option that I had missed to avoid doing the thing that really pissed her off. But the point is, pay attention to your companions. If you become attached to them, but then you do things that are against their belief structure, they will leave and they will leave you for greener pastures. So if you want to keep your companions happy, you need to do their side quests, but also remember they have their own unique needs and desires and they have their own factions as well. So she very much is in line with Spacer's Choice. He's very much Earth Directorate. Everybody's got their own faction that they're involved with. So pay attention to that if you want them in your party for the rest of the game. When it comes to combat, one of the things you're going to want to pay attention to is weak spot damage. This really only applies to normal difficulty or beyond. Weak spots can be a little tricky to pick out. I'm not going to try to do it in an active combat encounter while doing a video. It's easier just to explain it, and you'll figure it out as you go along. But essentially, weak spots are represented by highlighted areas on mobs, and those can be hard to see on certain encounters. It's really easy to see on robots because it shows up as like a highlighted blue. It'll look like a blue button or a blue glowing section like in the middle of a robot's chest or something. But every enemy has a weak spot on their body somewhere. And if you hit those weak spots, you do additional damage. That is hard to do during normal combat, which is when you really need to use your time dilation device, which is when you can go over here and pick this. And I'm going to use one of my NPCs. If you can imagine for a minute that maybe Ines has her shoulder right there. Maybe that portion of her shoulder is her weak point. And if I were to use my time dilation device, I could slow down time and then give myself the chance to focus in on and shoot that section of her armor to do additional damage to that weak point. It is a little hectic. Combat can really go crazy So trying to find the weak points when you're in the middle of an encounter and you're trying not to die, that can be quite tricky, but that's what the time dilation device comes in useful for. Or if you're trying to do sneak combat and I think there was some grass around here. Yeah, so we can get into the grass, and if you have the opportunity to, target something over there and hit the weak spot while using sneak damage, you're going to get additional bonus damage. So weak points are your friends in combat, but they are tricky to find. You're going to want to use your slow time dilation to make the most of that. And finally is the fact that the game has adjustable difficulties for a reason. If you are someone who doesn't want to deal with the complications of mobs being bullet sponges, needing to worry about enemy weak points, needing to have different loadouts, needing to have different types of ammo, needing to worry about grenades and all those different types of things, then you're probably going to want to bump the game down to story mode. There is no shame in that. I literally have a line of merch that says I play games in story mode because the vast majority of the time I do play games in story mode. I'm playing this game in normal mode the first time just because I wanted to do something a little bit out of the box. With RPGs, I will often start in normal, and if I start to feel like the combat or something is getting a little bit repetitive, I will then bump it down to easy. A good example of this would be like the God of War games, God of War Ragnarok, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. I really like those games. I've played through multiple times. The first playthrough was on normal, and then after about 10 hours, I was like, I'm getting a little tired of the combat. Bump it down to easy mode just so that I could do the story. Then come back the next playthrough, play it on a higher difficulty. Third playthrough, higher difficulty. Feel the challenge that way after I've learned how to play the game. Don't be afraid to adjust the difficulty upwards or downwards based on what you are wanting to get out of the game. These difficulty levels are there for a reason. Shout out to Obsidian for providing them for us so that we can all have the 100% agency over our playthrough that we want in a single player game. Well, that's it, everybody. That's a wrap on my Ultimate Beginner's Guide to the Outer Worlds 2. Hopefully, it was useful and you gleaned some information for your playthrough. If you did find it useful, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And we'll see you in the next one, whether it's for this game or the next one down the pipeline. Have fun, stay safe, and happy gaming.